The V-1 was a flying bomb and an early predecessor of the cruise missiles. Its development took place at Peenemünde base in Germany. It had been mainly used to bomb Great Britain, with the first rocket fired at London on the 13th of June 1944. V-1 rockets were also known as Fiesler Fi-103s, as it had been developed by Gerhard Fiesler Werk Company. In 1944, a new version had been created, the Fiesler Fi-103R Reichenberg. It was a manned version of the V-1 rocket. Germans were losing the war, but there was still a number of fanatical Nazis who came up with the idea of using suicide pilots to carry on attacks on Allied forces. Initially, there were plans of using a Messerschmitt Me-328, which was designed as a parasite aircraft, but it had been decided to switch to V-1 rockets and adapt them for the new purpose. The men behind the idea of suicide attacks were Otto Skorzeny and Hayo Hermann. They also managed to secure the support of Hanna Reitsch, the famous German female test pilot. The idea of self-sacrifice missions originated in 1943 with Albert Speer. The concept of suicide as a way to die was totally against the Christian beliefs, in stark opposition to Japanese tradition, where it was considered as an honourable way to end one's life. Initially, Adolf Hitler was reluctant, but finally, he had agreed to the request of setting up and training a suicide air unit. However, he set up one main condition: the unit will not enter combat without this approval. This new unit was given the nickname Leonidas Squadron, after the Greek king Leonidas, who together with his 300 men stopped the invading Persian army at Thermopylae. This new unit became a part of the Kampfgeschwader 200, a Bomber Wing 200, German Air Force Luftwaffe Special Operations Unit. The OKG-200 was most known for carrying missions of parachuting spies, flying radar jamming aircraft, and testing captured Allied aircraft. The most notable planes the pilots of this unit flew were Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, Lockheed P-38 Lightning, the Bristol Beaufighter, and the Supermarine Spitfire. Heinrich Himmler expressed an idea of using convicted criminals as pilots, but it got turned down. Instead, the Luftwaffe decided to recruit 70 volunteers, mainly young pilots who had to sign documents stating that they understand they will be used as human glider bombs. They were meant to pilot a modified Fiesler Fi-103, which got nicknamed Reichenberg, after the city in Czechoslovakia. The full name of this project was Fiesler Fi-103R Reichenberg. This is a picture of Fi-103R Reichenberg, captured by Allied troops in 1945. As we can see, it was modified by adding a small cockpit, which was equipped with only basic flight instruments. The pilots were initially trained in gliders. The first test flight took place in September 1944. The Reichenberg was dropped from the Heinkel HE-111, but the flight ended in a crash. At one point, the test flights were undertaken by Hanna Reitsch, and although she crashed several times, she never got injured. 2 months after starting the test flights, in October 1944, this project was put on hold. Werner Barmbach, who assumed charge of KG-200, had more faith in Mistel project, and at one point, after consultations with Albert Speer, they went to Berlin to speak with Hitler. Finally, it has been ordered to disband Leonidas Squadron. The Leonidas Squadron had never been used in battle. Werner Barmbach believed the pilot's life was too valuable to waste in suicide attacks. In theory, the pilots could bail out, but it was almost impossible to do. Although the Leonidas Squadron had been disbanded, another suicide tactic had been used by the Germans during the Battle of Berlin in April 1945. Hayo Hermann, at that time the head of the German Night Fighters Command, suggested destroying Allied heavy bombers by ramming them. These missions were not very successful, as only a few heavy bombers got destroyed by collisions, and if the suicide pilots managed to bail out, they were shot down by furious Allied gunners. Werner Barmbach, who was a highly decorated pilot himself, emigrated to Argentina after the war and wrote an autobiography. He described his service with the Luftwaffe with details, but did not mention the KG-200 at all. As Bomber Wing 200 was a special operations unit, all its missions were secret, so it's not a surprise that a lot of the documents related to it were destroyed.